player type thing. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, Kevin Cushing is the one who put the trip together. He did a great job. We even had a sign in our van. And going and coming back, you fly over Greenland. And when we got there, it was pouring rain and it was so windy, the plane was shaking. I didn't realize we weren't moving. I thought we were still taxiing, and that's why it was shaking. And it turned out we had to wait 15 minutes, half an hour, because the winds were so high they couldn't use the rampway. And then we took a shuttle bus from the airport to what was supposed to be a bus terminal. However, when we got there, it turns out the buses weren't running anymore. Luckily, a taxi driver showed up to drop somebody off or pick somebody up, and so we filled his taxi. He took people there. He got hold of another taxis, and we finally ended up at the hotel. I forget what time it was. And we stayed in Reykjavik. A lot of color in Reykjavik. And we didn't have any language problems at all. Very pretty city. They take care of it. All sorts of interesting paint schemes.
Was that tourist place? Tour. Yeah, well, go ahead.
I just like the angles of these stairs. It was a place called Perla, Perla. It was sort of a museum. And I like the spiral staircase up against the sky. And it had a big dome over the top. We had a nice sky on this day. Most of the time it was overcast and drizzling. And this is on the deck of Perla. It's 3 of my friends. And that's a panorama from the deck. And that church there is like the central point of Reykjavik. Oh, I've got 2 of these in here. I didn't realize that. We didn't eat at this place. This roof is made out of turf. It's not shingles or whatever. It's growing. And they had electric scooters you could rent all over the place. And a lot of sheep in Iceland, a lot of good tasting lamb. I didn't go in here. I just like the outside of it and the name. I like this sign. Fly over Iceland was sort of like a ride. You're sitting in your seat. You have to strap yourself in, then the lights go out. The floor in front of you drops, and you're like hanging up in the sky. And you could feel the wind in your face. You're dipping down and you're swooping, and you could feel the spray in your face. I had to close my eyes several times. It was great. Whoever said they're going to Iceland, I recommend that. Just some colorful glasses. This is a store cat somewhere. And this was a lava show. They melted lava and had it running down there. This is, we call this the Rainbow Road. and I decided to try keeping it all, turning it to black and white, except for Stephanie and the rainbow and some of the green graffiti in the back. And that's the church in the all the way at the end. And there's a church that might have been taken from the walk at Perla. That's a statue of Leif Erikson in front of the church. Some of my friends the first day went to the top of the church, but we got in late and I was starving, so somebody else and I had dinner instead. And this is the harbor in Reykjavik. Very sturdy boats. And this is a place where we ate a couple of times. I thought the fish and chips were great. Few people didn't think it was so great, but I went twice. And this is the bar at our hotel. And they had a beer there called Borg. And that's me assimilating the Borg. Star Trek fans will get that. And we went to a place called the Blue Lagoon. It's warm water, and it's the output of a geothermal, I think, electric plant. And the price of admission includes some sort of goop you put on your face. So, of course, we all did that. I took these with my TG6. That's waterproof to 30 feet. And that's everybody. That's Kevin, our fearless leader. And it also included a drink, so everybody was bellied up to the bar. Everybody's bellied up to the bar and drinking, and nobody got out of the pool. Yeah, it was nice to just hang out in the warm water and do nothing. And one of the places we went was a town called Vic. It was a harbor. It's a nice little town. And I think the volcano that went off shortly after we got there was right next to Vic and maybe partly in Vic. A lot of nice picturesque rust. Yeah, I like that little sailboat. And these are Icelandic horses. They're smaller than usual horses, and I think they're sort of extra furry or hairy. I'm not sure if it's fur or not. And this was an ice cream break. And that's just seaweed. I guess I should have put in the harbor shots. And this is not sure where this is. I sort of lost track, and I can't pronounce any of the places where we were. And we were it was drizzling all the time, so I took a shot through the window of my friends. This is an Arctic fox. It's very unusual to see one. I think this one was sort of sick. He was acting weird and hanging out in the parking lot. And he wasn't running for people. And then we went to the Black Lava Sand Beach. That's lava there around the cave, and the beach sand is all decomposed lava, and it's all black sand. I brought some home. Very interesting patterns. I think that might be called basalt. I'm not a geologist, though. But very rugged terrain everywhere in Iceland. I tried these in black and white also, and most people thought the color looked better. I just found some interesting stuff on the black sand. And there's stuff growing in the black rock. And then there's a glacial river. This is the picture behind Lewis. Not this picture, but this is where he took that up, I think. It's where parts of the glacier come down the river. So like big icebergs, small icebergs, tiny icebergs. And that's a boat you can go further up the river, and none of us did it. Very interesting shapes, and some of the ice was blue. And that's a glaciers in the back. Most of these were shot with my Olympus EM5 Mark II. And this is where the glacial river hit the ocean. It's little tiny icebergs. Yeah, I tried to find nice looking icebergs to shoot. And I had to be careful they weren't all blown out. I think maybe I have too many iceberg pictures in here. And this is on the beach. Oh, it looks like a face, I just noticed. I like the contrast against the black sand. Yeah, interesting rocks there also. And Liza took a picture of me. Yeah, these are two different pictures. I wasn't able to get rid of Starburst, but I didn't want to. And here's Judy holding a piece of ice the size of her head. And that's the whole crew. And Iceland is where they pronounce it Geysir, something like that. And that's where the mid-Atlantic ridge comes up from the Atlantic, and it's tectonic plates colliding there. So there's a lot of That's why they have a lot of volcanoes and there's little bubbling mud pots and steam and geysers all over the place. And you have to be careful because they can kill you. The sign says 100 degrees centigrade. That's 212 degrees Fahrenheit. That would leave a mark. This is like a little bubbling mud pot. It's similar to Yellowstone, where you've got little hot features all over the place. It's also why it's very rugged country. Sometimes the steam is coming up out of a fissure like this. Sometimes it's just coming up from the water. And I have video of some of the bubbling mud pots, but I didn't want to make this too long. And there's streams all over the place because they've got glaciers melting and it's very rugged. So there are a lot of mountains and hills. And they also have fresh water. It's really good. They have no problem with their water supply. And most of their electric is geothermal, because they've got all these steam coming out all over the place. Some waterfalls we went to and some we were just in the areas where we were. And this one was at night and it was lit up. And I think the whole land is basically lava. And there's glaciers. Glaciers like the ones that used to be here. Some areas it's very green. It had overcast most of the time and we had a lot of mist. The majority of the population lives in Reykjavik, but we saw little houses all over the place. Yeah, this is a real old church and that's a stone wall around it. And I've got an old cemetery there. And I don't remember exactly what this was. And there were nice waves at some of the seasides we were at. And you could see the patterns of the lava, 'cause that's where the rocks came from. and sulfur is between the two tectonic plates. Sulfur is a rift formed in the mid-Atlantic ridge, which is a divergent tectonic boundary between the North American and Eurasian plates. So the two plates are moving back and forth, which gives you earthquakes and holes into the magma underneath and hot springs and all of that, and very rugged terrain. And right here, I think one side is Asia and the other side is the North American plate. I liked the greenery up against the rocks. And sulfur is the only place in the world where you can dive or snorkel between two tectonic plates. Originally, I was going to be scuba diving, but my bad back started acting up. And when you get out of the water, you had to walk like quarter mile or half mile wearing full scuba gear and dry suit and all that. So I would have been wearing like 70, 80 pounds, and I definitely would not be able to walk back with that. But that's Sherry. She's watching right now. We're wearing what's called dry suits, and they have a zipper in the back, so she's being zipped up. There's Amanda being checked. The water's like 33, 34 degrees. And we saw a walrus. Yeah, that's me on the left. I brought my own mask and snorkel. And that's me underwater in 32 to 34-degree water. And that's it.
Great.
Any questions?
Very nice, Kenny. In the fish place, did you try the fermented shark?
No, but a couple of friends of ours, they got there about a week early. They did. And I think you follow it with shots of maybe aquavit, and they said, "Oh yeah, the aquavit kills the taste of the shark. Tastes like ammonia."
That's what I heard.
And you only get like a little cube of it. They said it was like a little 1-inch cube or half-inch cube. Deborah Weiss was on the trip. Oh, was she? Yes.
What time of the day you shot the pictures at the glaciers?
We weren't there for photographs. We were there to see it. So we weren't getting up at dawn and staying until real late. So some of them were in the middle of the day, some were early in the day. You know, we'd have breakfast at the hotel, and then we had a bus. There were like 15, 20 of us, and we'd be touring around all day.
I see. Okay, thanks.
Did
So
they have,
Kenny,
I'm sorry, did they have
Go ahead.
animals grazing? There's a
Oh
lot
yeah, sheep.
a lot of sheep, maybe
Yeah.
goats, that kind of stuff, or just
I don't
sheep?
remember seeing goats,
Okay.
but there were
Kenny,
sheep.
when you go out for the day, I mean, do you always come back to Reykjavik at night, or
Yeah.
are there places? Okay.
Yeah.
So Kenny, what did you see when you dove there?
I don't remember if I saw any fish, but the water is unbelievably clear.
Oh,
Really, really, really clear. Unbelievable. I wish I'd been able to scuba dive
Mhm.
because
there
in the dry suits they didn't want us to go under the surface, probably because most people who do it don't have a clue and has never been snorkeling before, and they're worried they're going to get into trouble. But I had no problem. First time I wore a dry suit, I had no problem with it.
there's an area of your face that was open where the snorkel was.
Yep.
Wasn't that like ridiculously cold on your face?
Yeah, but you get used to it right away. And I have dove in water that cold before. It was off New Jersey at about 110, 120 feet.
Wow.
And I had equipment problems, probably ice in my regulator.
Oh,
So Kenny, what time of year were you there and what was the air temperature?
We were there in September. It was... Sherry, do you remember what the air temps were? It wasn't cold, but it wasn't warm. I wore like a light vest.
Yeah, I was in the 60s.
High 40s, low 50s.
Okay.
Hmm.
you said that you were showing too many of those little icebergs, those
Yeah.
small ones, but I found them fascinating because to me, everyone looked like a little animal or a face
Yeah.
or something, and it was really interesting, I thought.
Yeah, and on the everything that against the backgrounds, and then it sort of segued smoothly to other things against the sand. One of the notes I took, since I didn't want to interrupt, was not too many icebergs. Same idea.
Okay. Somebody said they have a friend going to Iceland. Who was that?
Yes, I do.
I recommend that fly over Iceland. That was really fun.
Yeah, that looked like fun. I was just going to ask you, what was your favorite thing? One of your favorite things.
Oh, and that was another note. You mentioned that you felt the wind in the air and everything.
Yeah.
What were you seeing in there?
It's like an IMAX, and you're
Oh,
flying. So
Right.
you're flying through the
It's
air
like
over
aerial view.
the glaciers and the rivers, and
oh,
you're
yeah, yeah.
like zooming down,
But you're
And it's
really not suspended.
dizzying.
No,
And
you're-
you know, when you're down near the water, you feel the spray.
Jeez, like a Disneyland ride.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was great.
It's like aerial view of Iceland and all the
Yeah, yeah, you're in a plane swooping around.
Let's turn it over to Louis now.
Okay.
No, two more quick questions. In the hot pool, did they give you any Geiger counters? And because you said it came from a nuclear. Oh, no, it didn't. It came
No,
from
not
thermal.
nuclear. Yeah,
Thermal. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, and you're simulating the Borg. That was horrible, deliciously horrible. And the final thing
Yeah, the
was
beer
when
was delicious.
and when you're talking about the furry or hairy horses, the very next frame was that nice lady whose hair, you should have moved those apart a little bit.
Oh,
Okay.
I didn't even realize that. That might have been Stephanie. She has she has great hair,
Yeah.
fluffy.
Jackie, we need an expensive field trip.
Say what?
We need an expensive field trip.
Oh, to go there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You
am I
did. It's a
gonna-
long day, isn't it? When you leave the hotel in the morning, you have breakfast. What time do you have to get on the bus?
When were we getting on the bus? Maybe 9 o'clock?
Yeah, some of it was a 24-hour, like a 22-hour day. 'Cause we
Yeah,
went
some of
all
them
the
were
way
really
back to
long.
Lagoon and then came back up. So, but
How
you
long
can
were we
take-
there?
We were there like 9 days.
Yeah, but we could have opted to transfer each day to somewhere else so that the ride and the bus to get somewhere wasn't as long, but we didn't want to do that. So we just stayed in Reykjavik and transferred, during the day by bus. But you can take another tour that you move from hotel to hotel every few
Right.
days.
Yeah, but Kevin did a great job planning this. And since we're all in one group, we all know each other, we're all friends. It's not like you have a bus where some people want to go here, some people want to go somewhere else, and it's late, I want to go back. Well, some of us did say it's late and I want to go back, and we just said, too bad.
Yeah, right.